In Lecture 4, we're going to be talking about earthquakes and also about crustal deformation. Let's start out with earthquakes. With earthquakes, we're going to start by talking about some just kind of general things associated with earthquakes, like what the faults look like, and also what we mean when we say stress and strain. So this kind of just shows a general idea of what an earthquake would look like. Here we have the surface of the earth, and then we've cut away the side of the earth into this block. And we can see running through the side of the earth is this fault, which is labeled here. Along this fault, some sort of movement takes place, and we're going to see that that's a release of stress. And where that movement takes place is the focus of the earthquake. So this could have happened all along the fault and we can see movement at the surface, or it might just happen in the subsurface and we see no evidence of movement associated with this earthquake at the surface. In either case, the focus is below the ground and exactly where the earthquake occurs. What's usually reported in the newspaper is directly above that. That's the epicenter, and that's the map location of where the earthquake occurred. The epicenter doesn't tell us if it happened right at the surface or 100 kilometers below the surface. It just tells us that's the map location. When that movement takes place, it starts sending out some, kind of like these circular ripples through the ground of wave energy along these wave fronts that are shown here. Kind of like if we drop a pebble into the water. If we drop a pebble into a still lake, the water particles would not be moving all the way from where the pebble hit out to the edge of the lake, but the waves of energy would be moving away from there. And waves of an earthquake move in a similar manner. And one last thing, if we do see the movement of the earth at the top of the earthquake along the fault, where it intersects the surface of the earth, we might actually see a little step up or down there, and that would be the fault scarp that we refer to. So what do we mean by stress and strain? Well, we know the tectonic plates of the earth are moving, and they're causing stress along the plate boundaries. So that's one way of thinking about it. That stress builds up over time. So stress is a force per unit area. So this is going to build up over time, but we're not actually going to see evidence of that until the big movement takes place. The slippage along the fault is when the earthquake occurs. That slippage along the fault releases a lot of built up energy all at once. And then afterwards, we're actually able to see the result of that, which would be the strain that has occurred on the surface of the earth. So kind of an analogy with a stick would be that we would bend the stick for a while. You can kind of feel the energy, the stress in that stick as it's being built and the buildup of strain, but it's not until the stick breaks that all of that energy is released, and then we kind of go back to the state of not having any built up stress there. So after the earthquake occurs, ideally, all of that energy has been released, and then it's going to build up over time again because plate tectonics, tell us that these lithospheric plates are going to keep moving in the same direction, but it's going to take a while for that to build up again. So one example of where this happens is along the San Andreas Fault in California. And the San Andreas, once again, goes all the way from the Mexican border up to the northeast of Los Angeles, up through here, right through the San Francisco Bay Area. And then it goes up to Cape Mendocino, where it goes offshore and as part of the Juan de Fuca plate over here. There are certain areas along the San Andreas Fault where they have a lot of seismic activity and the plates are sliding by each other at a certain rate. Smaller earthquakes are associated with this, and we don't really worry too much about those. However, other places where it shows the fault locked by this little zipper symbol here, like around Los Angeles and around San Francisco, that's where stress has been building up over a long period of time. That increased strain is someday going to give way, and then we're going to have earthquakes associated with that. And that strain, as the stick breaks, we can see that recorded in the rocks as they slide past each other. So this is an aerial image of the San Andreas Fault. We can see there's a little offset of a stream valley associated with it here. The stream used to come here, and now it's down here. If we were looking across the fault, we would say the right side of the fault, the other side of the fault has moved off to the right, and that's the same no matter which side we're standing on. So this is actually a right lateral strike slip fault, and that's what the San Andreas Fault is, and that's what it will continue to be because of plate tectonics. Along the San Andreas Fault zone, one of the most famous times where there's been offset was the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. And we can see once again, because this stress is being released and we're actually sliding the plates past each other, the strain that occurred is recorded in things that were built by people back in that time. Here we can see there's actually a person there with his arms outstretched, and looks like this fence was offset by about 5 or 6 feet by the San Andreas Fault. We're seeing the same thing of the offset of this fence here and also this road here. So faults are not something that kind of everything shifts and then shifts back to where it was. They're constantly moving and shifting things in one direction or the other.